What's up, Ravens, and welcome to another episode of ONW Now. I'm Brinley Summers.
And I'm Ella Walker. Today we'll take a look at some of Olathe Northwest's awesome clubs and organizations, as well as sports.
We have a lot of exciting news to share, so let's roll that intro.
The Ravens flight crew, led by our very own Miss Pa, is such an important part of ONW. Let's send it over to Carly Lutt to learn more.
I think you should join RC just because, one, it's a really fun class. Miss Pa is an awesome teacher. She's super nice. And two, it just helps you with good life skills like leadership and just like public speaking and literally just every aspect of life it can help you with. It kind of changes depending on what like season we're in. So like during football, we're doing a lot of painting signs and like working on like run-through signs and all that stuff. And then as it kind of shifts to basketball and stuff, we're focused more on like our leadership skills and like what we can do to like improve in the future and like assemblies and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of just depends day to day and like kind of what season we're in. My favorite thing is just kind of like the family and like the kind of like the brotherhood that we have kind of, and just everyone gets along so well, and it's just such an enjoyable environment to be in every day.
RFC continues to fly high, and you'll be interested. Be sure to check in with Miss Pa to find out and join more.
The Women's Leadership Club meets every Thursday in Dr. Lenny's room. It's so inspiring to see young girls come together to create a group full of support, passion, and hope.
We got an inside look into their meeting. Check it out.
Hi, today we are interviewing Dr. Lenny to get more of an insight on the Women's Leadership Club. What motivated you to sponsor this club?
So the Young Women's Leadership Club actually came about from a previous club. We used to have the Feminist Club, and one of the things that we really learned with that club is sometimes there's a negative connotation with that term feminist, and so we really wanted to be able to look for something that could be more encompassing and maybe more welcoming to students, and so we were able to find the Young Women's Leadership Club that again has that national curriculum, national conferences, just really a lot of good resources for us to go to. And the sponsorship of this club was just a natural extension of my women's studies class, so it just was a good fit when they approached me about it.
What does a typical meeting look like?
So the one thing that we're really fortunate enough with the Young Women's Leadership Program is it's a national program, and so our co-presidents come into my room usually about a week ahead of time, and they go through the website and the different curriculum that's available, and they really choose a topic that our students at Northwest want to hear about. Once they choose that topic, they put together the presentation, they send it to me, and then they get that meeting started. Some of the meetings are just a get to know you, maybe bringing up a quote, but really setting up the agenda and then running with it from there.
Our school is so lucky to have such admirable clubs and organizations offering support to students.
The JV Scholars Bowl team meets every Monday and Tuesday in Mrs. Prupet's room. Mrs. Prupet's and Dr. Lenny coach the students involved practicing and completing the trivia-based questions.
Members attend meets and compete against other high schools. We caught up with some members to see what the JV Scholars have been up to this season. Elijah Walker and Declan Cave have more on this story.
H6 plus O.
This season, the JV Scholars Bowl team has been putting in work in order to see success in their competitions.
Competitions in Scholars Bowl are very similar to almost like a trivia game show. You have academic questions, which a reader has, and then you have to answer those by buzzing in and saying the correct answer. You sit in a team of 5, usually, and at an actual competition, you take a team of 6 with one person subbing out between the questions.
Well, last year we had a lot of really good people in math who could get questions like near instantly. And this year we still have some very good people in math, but we've had to adjust. And we also last year had really good people for literature. So in Scholars was a lot of questions about various classical books and their plots, and also grammar device and literary devices. And so we had very strong team for that last year, but for this year we've had to study a lot more in order to catch up with what we were missing from that team from last year.
My favorite memory of Scholars Bowl is on the way. We ride in these like big vans, and it's a pretty small team, and we have a lot of karaoke. Veer, for instance, brings a speaker and he sings along, and so it kind of becomes this like almost it's kind of like fun car ride over before competitions that really kind of like has the team, bond together before we going in. We know we win, or we try to at least. So that's my favorite team memory, I think.
Yet it isn't always about amounting to answering the questions for the JV Scholars Bowl team, but to build community.
Our school is lucky to have such admirable clubs and organizations offering support to students.
The JV Scholar Bowl meets every Monday and Tuesday in Mrs. Prupet's room. Mrs. Prupetz and Dr. Lenny coach the students involved. How cool is that we have students with such incredible trivia knowledge in our building?
Amazing. Next, we are highlighting one of our KC locals. Ben Rushing is a local gardener who has a passion for produce and loves to share this passion with his community. Let's take a deeper look into the story of Ben Rushing's garden with Elijah Walker and Declan Cave.
Most people would drive right past a small stand they see on the side of the road and never think of it again. But for residents of Ravenwood Place, that small stand is the hidden gem for the community.
Well, I've been a gardener pretty much for a long time, and I just decided we'd always have leftover vegetables, and I said, well, I can vegetables and I freeze them and I give some away, and I said, well, maybe the neighborhood would like some place where they can get some fresh tomatoes, fresh vegetables. Well, my grandson, he was in first grade, and he would go to school and he would tell his teacher about a garden he helped work in, which was my garden. And he would say he loves it, and he did all this stuff, and he knew a lot of stuff about gardening, and they had a course about plants and gardens, and she called me up one day and said, could we come visit your garden that Sterling's always talking about? And I said, yes, come on down. Most people want a fresh tomato. A homegrown tomato tastes so much different from a store tomato, because store tomatoes are picked when they're green. They're sprayed with ethylene to keep all the bugs off of them and preserve them a little bit till they get to the market. And so they don't have the same taste quite as a homegrown garden, which is a whole lot better. And that is what they really love. And I make a salsa if tomatoes have a split in them or they're not perfect, if people don't want to buy them like that, then I make salsa, and everybody loves salsa. And our neighbor actually started it, because she said, can I put this on one of those next door apps? Can I put that? Because she came down and bought some salsa and tomatoes, and she really wanted people to know that it was there. And so, I do probably 50% more business than whenever I started. And I have a sign on Iowa that says, vine ripened tomatoes. And people find out about it because homegrown tomatoes are so much better, and they love it. And they find out and they tell their friends. And I have some people coming from other parts of the city now that used to live here, but they moved and they drive back over here just to pick up tomatoes.
Awesome. But money isn't the goal for Ben Rushing, it's the community.
Thanks, Elijah and Declan, for that great story. How cool is Ben?
Unfortunately, that's all Ella and I have for you today.
Let's pass it over for Carly and Marley for game day.
What's up, Ravens, and welcome back to Game Day. We are delighted to be here with you today.
That's right, Carly. We had the opportunity to speak to some of our current Raven basketball athletes about their goals for the season.
Our basketball teams have been playing for about a month now, and they are already off to a great start with an undefeated season. We got the inside scoop from these impressive group of guys.
Today we interviewed the ONW basketball program about their careers through Olathe Northwest High School.
The biggest part is definitely friends. Just growing up with them, playing in middle school, it's just basketball's been my favorite sport for a long time.
Just try not to think too much, and just know that I've been playing this game for a while, and there's nothing really to stress about. Just play and have fun.
The Raven boys make sure they don't get in their heads during games to perform the best they can.
Say just developing those personal connections and leadership skills and mental toughness.
Basketball actually taught me a whole bunch of lessons about how to be a better person.
Now, let's head back to the desk to hear from Marley Everett.
Good luck to our guys for the rest of the season.
Be sure to show up to the games for our basketball athletes and cheer them on.
ONW is kicking off bowling season this winter, and Drew Donner has more on this striking team.
The bowling team this year has been gearing up for a successful season in every aspect of the game.
My name is Dominique Flewis. Most people call me Coach Dom or Miss Dom, and I am the Unified Bowling head coach. In each of the practices, we only practice twice a week, and then when the season starts, we only have 4 regular season matches, and then there's regionals and then state. So it's really only up to 6 weeks long. But practices, we will start off with the kids just bowling, just to see where they are, what their level is. And then after that, we break them up into teams of 5. We have 3 partners on a team, and then, 3 athletes and 2 partners on a team, and we do Baker style. So the whole team bowls 10 frames, but it's broken up into frame 1, 4, 7, and 10 are our partners, and the other frames are athletes.
The bowling team is not only excelling in their game, but also in the building of their community and teamwork.
Our unified bowling team had a great season this year.
That's all we have for today's show. See you next time on Game Day.
We hope you all have a great end to this semester, and don't forget, Raven Nation, let's fly!